On September 2, 2025, a rare moon alignment will take place, an event that carries deep prophetic, spiritual, and personal significance. Throughout history, celestial signs have always been tied to shifts in destiny, warnings from God, and seasons of breakthrough. This is not just an astronomical event, it's a divine signal calling us to prepare our hearts, sharpen our focus, and walk into the purpose God has set for us. When we speak about a rare moon alignment, many are quick to reduce it to mere science or coincidence, something to glance at briefly before returning to the routine of life. But when you look at history, and especially when you look at the way God has moved in Scripture, you realize that the heavens have never been silent. The stars, the sun, and the moon are not just ornaments in the sky. They are signs, they are signals. They are God's eternal calendar written above us, visible to every nation and every person, whether rich or poor, whether they believe or not. And when something rare takes place in that heavenly calendar, you can be sure it carries meaning for your life here on earth. Think about it for a moment. The very first chapter of Genesis says, "Let there be lights in the heavens to mark days, seasons, and years." From the very beginning, the design of the cosmos was not just for beauty, it was for alignment, for direction, for orientation. We mark our days, our months, our years by the movement of the moon and the sun. But beyond the practical, there is also the prophetic. Every great movement in history has been accompanied by signs in the heavens, as if God himself was saying, "Pay attention, something is about to shift." This September 2, 2025 alignment is one of those moments. It's not random, it's not accidental. It's a cosmic message that invites us to lift our eyes higher, to get out of the cycle of distraction, and to ask, what is God trying to show me? What is he preparing me for? And here's the truth we cannot ignore. People who dismiss the signs often miss the season. They treat the extraordinary as ordinary. They treat the sacred as common. But those who are alert, those who are watchful, those who understand that the universe itself is echoing divine intention, those people step into opportunities others overlook. They prepare when others procrastinate. They sow when others waste time. They listen when others mock. And in the end, they are the ones who inherit the blessing that others thought was just coincidence. Psychologists tell us that human beings are wired to notice patterns. Our brains search for meaning, for alignment, for story. Philosophers have long said that man is not content with raw data. He seeks significance. Why? Because deep within us, we know that life is not random. We know that events are not isolated. We sense that behind the rhythms of time there is purpose, a narrative unfolding, a designer weaving threads into a larger tapestry. And this is why these rare alignments stir something in our spirit. They awaken the deep memory within us that we are not just floating through space, we are being guided, shaped, called. So let me ask you, what if this alignment is not just about the moon? What if it is about your life coming into alignment? What if the shifting in the heavens is a mirror of the shift God is trying to bring into your soul? The alignment of the moon may be rare, but so is the opportunity that stands before you right now. To miss it would be to treat as ordinary what God himself has marked as extraordinary. That's why I believe this moment is prophetic. It's not superstition. It's not mysticism, it's not vague spirituality. It is the reminder that the God who hung the moon in the sky is the same God who hung purpose in your heart. He uses signs to draw our attention, but he doesn't want us to stop at the sign. He wants us to follow it to the transformation it points toward. And so, as you look to the sky on September 2, don't just see a rare alignment, see a wake-up call. See a divine invitation. See God whispering to your spirit, it's time. Prepare. Align your life with my purpose. Because here's the truth. You can admire the beauty of the moon, or you can align your life with the message it carries. Only one of those choices will shift your destiny. When moments like this rare alignment appear, they're not simply to impress us with beauty or to capture our attention for a night. They are reminders that life itself is calling us to wake up. One of the greatest dangers we face in the modern world is not violence, not poverty, not even disease. It is spiritual sleep. People go through their days half awake, living on autopilot, consumed by routine, scrolling through distractions, reacting instead of reflecting, surviving instead of truly living. And here's the tragedy. You can be physically awake, busy from morning until night, and yet spiritually asleep, completely blind to the deeper meaning of your existence. That is why the Bible consistently warns, awake, sleeper, and rise from the dead, and Christ will shine on you. That is not a call to the unbeliever alone. It is a wake-up call to every one of us, because the greatest danger for God's people has never been outright rebellion. It has been slumber. It has been that subtle drift into comfort, into complacency, into the illusion that tomorrow will always look like today. Psychologists call this phenomenon habituation. When we see the same thing day after day, our brains begin to tune it out. We stop noticing, we stop appreciating, we stop questioning. That's why people in the middle of a miracle sometimes don't recognize it. The extraordinary becomes ordinary because they've been lulled into a state of familiarity. And in the same way, many have become so accustomed to the rhythm of life that when God speaks through a rare event, they don't hear it. When He whispers through creation, they don't recognize it. Their souls are asleep even while their eyes are open. But rare alignments like the one coming tomorrow are meant to shake us awake. They are disruptions to the ordinary. They force us to look up, to pause, to remember that the universe is not just a background to our busy schedules. It is a stage where God is constantly speaking. And when you truly see it, you realize this isn't about astronomy. It's about awareness. It's about awakening to the fact that God is moving in your life right now. Philosophers have long debated what it means to be awake. Plato, in his allegory of the cave, described people who lived their entire lives staring at shadows, mistaking them for reality. Only when one dared to turn around, to wake up, did he see the truth. Isn't that the human condition? We settle for shadows, for temporary pleasures, for shallow pursuits, when all along there is a greater reality waiting for us to turn toward it. Spiritual awakening is that turning. It is the courage to stop being content with shadows and to start pursuing the light. And here's the deeper truth. Awakening is not just awareness of God's presence, it's awareness of your responsibility. Once you are awake, you can no longer pretend you didn't know. You can't return to sleep without consequences. To awaken spiritually means you begin to live intentionally. You begin to pray differently, think differently, act differently. You no longer treat time as casual because you understand it is sacred. So this rare alignment is not just a sign in the sky, it's an alarm clock for the soul. It's God saying, don't sleep through your destiny. Don't drift into the future as though it doesn't matter how you live today. Wake up, because time is short and purpose is urgent. If you allow this moment to stir you, to rouse you from complacency, it will not only shift your perspective, it will shift your life. Because once you are awake, you begin to see what others miss, you begin to walk where others stumble, and you begin to live the life God intended for you all along. Whenever we see a shift in the heavens, there is often a shaking that follows on the earth. History teaches us this truth. Before every breakthrough, before every revival, before every great moment of transformation, there is always a period of disruption, uncertainty, even chaos. We want the miracle without the shaking, but the two almost always travel together. And if you misunderstand the shaking, you may end up resisting the very process that is preparing you for breakthrough. Think about the way a seed grows. Before it becomes a tree, it must be buried in the soil. Darkness surrounds it. Pressure weighs on it. The seed's shell cracks, and from the outside, it looks like destruction. But in reality, that cracking is the only way life can emerge. What looks like breaking is actually birthing. And the same is true for your life. Some of the disruption you are facing is not God abandoning you, it is God preparing you. Psychologists describe something called cognitive dissonance, the tension that happens when old beliefs collide with new realities. That tension is uncomfortable, but it is also necessary because it forces growth. In the same way, spiritual shaking creates a kind of holy dissonance. It rattles the structures we've leaned on, it challenges the illusions we've clung to, and it compels us to step into a new way of living. Without the shaking, most of us would stay stuck in cycles that keep us small. With it, we are pushed, sometimes against our will, into growth we would never have chosen but always needed. Philosophically, you could say shaking is the invitation to embrace impermanence. Nothing in this world is fixed. Empires rise and fall. Economies shift. Friendships change. Even our own bodies age and transform. To resist that reality is to fight against the design of life itself. But when you see the shaking as preparation, you stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this shaping in me? That is the critical difference between despair and growth. And here's the spiritual dimension. God shakes things not to destroy, but to realign. Hebrews tells us that everything that can be shaken will be shaken so that what cannot be shaken may remain. In other words, shaking reveals what is solid and what is temporary. It removes what we never should have been leaning on in the first place. That job, that relationship, that false sense of security, if it can be shaken, it was never your foundation. And sometimes God allows the shaking simply so you will stop building your house on sand and start building it on rock. I know some of you feel it right now. Your life feels unstable. Things you thought would never change have shifted. Doors you expected to stay open have closed. But what if this is not the end? What if this is the prelude to your breakthrough? The greatest danger in a season of shaking is to interpret it as punishment, when in reality it may be promotion in disguise. Look back at your own life. The times of greatest growth were rarely the times of greatest comfort. There were the seasons when something was stripped away, when something was shaken loose, when you were forced to face what you'd been avoiding. And on the other side of that shaking, you were stronger, wiser, and more aligned with your purpose than before. So if you are feeling the tremors in your spirit, don't run from them. Don't numb yourself. Don't distract yourself. Lean into them. Ask God what He is doing beneath the surface, because the shaking is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of a new chapter. And here's the truth you must hold on to. What feels like shaking today is often the sound of destiny rearranging itself tomorrow. Don't curse it. Don't fear it. Embrace it, because the ground that feels unstable beneath your feet may be the very place God is planting you for your greatest season yet. Whenever God allows a shaking, it is not only to remove what is unstable, it is also to make room for what has been hidden. That is the paradox of divine disruption. When one door closes, another is already waiting to open. When something is stripped away, it is not just subtraction, it is preparation for multiplication. The rare alignment we are approaching is not merely a warning, it is also a promise. It points to a season where blessings long delayed are about to be released, where opportunities that once seemed sealed shut will suddenly swing wide open. We all know what it feels like to live in waiting. Waiting for an answer to prayer. Waiting for a breakthrough in our career, our health, or our relationships. Waiting for a sign that the struggle has meaning. And sometimes that waiting can feel endless. But what if the delay was never a denial? What if the waiting was God's way of shaping you, strengthening you, preparing you to handle the very thing you asked for? Because the truth is, open doors before their time are not blessings. They are burdens. An opportunity too big for your character to carry will crush you. But an opportunity that comes when your soul is ready will lift you higher than you ever imagined.
Psychologists often speak of delayed gratification as one of the strongest predictors of long-term success.
The ability to wait, to endure short-term discomfort for a greater reward, is what separates those who rise from those who remain stagnant. In spiritual terms, the same principle applies. God allows seasons of delay not to torture us, but to train us, to teach us resilience, to deepen our trust, to prepare our character so that when the door opens, we are not overwhelmed, but equipped. Philosophers have always wrestled with the idea of hidden potential. Aristotle called it entelechy, the idea that within every acorn is the potential to become an oak tree. But potential alone is not enough. The acorn must be buried, broken, and transformed before its hidden life can emerge. In the same way, your hidden blessings are not gone. They are simply waiting for the right alignment, the right moment, the right conditions. And this rare moon alignment is a reminder that those conditions are shifting in your favor. Think about it. How many times in history did God's people experience sudden openings after long seasons of silence? The Red Sea did not part until the Israelites stood before it with nowhere else to go. Paul and Silas did not see prison doors fling open until they praised God at midnight. Over and over again, we see the pattern. Doors open not when we expect them, but when we most need them, and often when we least deserve them. That is the nature of grace. It shows up at the intersection of desperation and faith. So what does that mean for you? It means the door you thought was permanently locked may not be locked at all. It may have been sealed until this appointed time. It means the blessing you thought you missed might not have been lost. It may have simply been hidden, waiting for the right season to be revealed. And if God is the one who holds the keys, then no man, no system, no opposition can keep that door shut when he decides it is time to open it. This is the season to get ready, to stand with expectation, not frustration, to position yourself with faith instead of fear, because when the door opens, you won't have time to scramble, to prepare. You will need to be ready to walk through it immediately. So hear this clearly. The rare alignment in the heavens is God's way of reminding you that He has alignments prepared for your life as well. What has been hidden will be revealed. What has been closed will open. And what has seemed delayed will arrive right on time. With every season of blessing, there also comes a season of testing. That is the part many people overlook. We hear about open doors, about breakthroughs, about blessings being released, and our hearts leap with excitement. But alongside the light always comes a shadow. With every great opportunity, there is also great opposition. And with every divine revelation, there comes the danger of human deception. That is why I say to you, with this rare alignment, there is not only a release of blessings, there is also a warning for the chosen one. You see, whenever God draws close to His people, the enemy always tries to counterfeit the moment. In Scripture, Moses went up the mountain to meet God, and while he was gone, the people built a golden calf. They had the presence of God right in front of them, but distraction led them into idolatry. In the New Testament, Paul warned that even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. The lesson is clear. Not everything that shines is holy, and not every voice that sounds spiritual is from God. Psychologists tell us that when people are desperate, they become more susceptible to suggestion. In moments of uncertainty, our defenses weaken, and we are quick to cling to anything that promises comfort or clarity. That is why in seasons like this, when the heavens themselves are declaring change, you must be rooted, discerning, and grounded in truth. If not, you will be swayed by every headline, every trend, every influencer who claims to have an answer, but offers nothing more than noise. Philosophically, this speaks to the tension between truth and illusion. Plato's cave, which I mentioned earlier, reminds us that many live their lives staring at shadows. They mistake the flickering images for reality. But the chosen, the awakened, must rise above illusions to see the source of light itself. In the same way, if you are not careful, you will mistake emotional hype for divine truth, temporary distraction for eternal direction. And that mistake can cost you not just opportunities, but your destiny. This is why discernment is not optional. It is essential. The chosen ones are not those who never face temptation or distraction. They are those who recognize it and refuse to be deceived by it. And here's the truth. Sometimes the greatest danger is not the obvious evil, but the subtle compromise. It's not the blatant lie, it's the half-truth. It's the little distraction that slowly pulls you off course until you no longer recognize the path you were meant to walk. So how do you guard against this? You root yourself in what is unshakable. You measure every voice against the Word of God. You don't chase after every shiny promise. You stay anchored in prayer, in wisdom, in patience. And you remember that just because something is popular doesn't mean it is true, and just because something is difficult doesn't mean it is wrong. Let me speak plainly. In this season of rare alignment, there will be many voices. Some will tell you that the world is ending tomorrow. Others will tell you that nothing matters and you should just live for yourself. But the truth is found in neither extreme. The truth is this: God is moving, the world is shifting, and your responsibility is not to panic or to ignore. It is to stay awake, stay grounded, and stay faithful. If you do that, you won't be shaken by deception. You won't be distracted by noise. You won't be led off the path by those who offer shortcuts or false promises. Instead, you will walk with clarity, with discernment, and with strength, ready to embrace the blessing without falling for the counterfeit. So let me leave you with this warning and this encouragement. Every light attracts both seekers and pretenders. Be the seeker. Don't let the counterfeit steal what is real. Because if you guard your heart, no deception, no distraction, and no enemy will be able to rob you of the destiny God has aligned for you. Every alignment in the heavens is a reminder of alignment on earth. But here's the critical truth you cannot miss. The sign itself does not change your life. Your response to it does. The moon can align in the rarest pattern imaginable. The sky can display wonders that leave astronomers speechless. But if you walk away unchanged, nothing is shifted in you. That is the dividing line between those who experience transformation and those who simply observe it from a distance. God has always worked this way. The Israelites saw the pillar of fire by night and the cloud by day, yet many of them still complained, still doubted, still wandered in circles for 40 years. They had the sign, but they lacked the response. On the other hand, when the shepherds in Bethlehem saw the star, they didn't just admire it, they acted. They got up, they followed, they sought, and they found the Messiah. The same sign that many ignored became the very path of destiny for those who were willing to respond. Psychologists call this the principle of agency. It is the recognition that while circumstances shape us, it is our choices that ultimately define us. Two people can live through the same event. One will emerge bitter, the other better. One will collapse under the weight of change. The other will rise because of it. The difference is not the event itself, but the response to it. In spiritual terms, God may allow the same shaking, the same alignment, the same opportunity, but only those who respond in faith will see it become transformation. Philosophers have always wrestled with the tension between fate and free will. Is our destiny fixed, or do we have a say in shaping it? The answer is both. God ordains seasons. He sets times. He writes purposes into creation. But within those purposes, you and I are given the freedom to choose. We can align with His plan, or we can resist it. We can step into the open door, or we can stand outside wondering what could have been. The alignment sets the stage, but your decision writes the script. That is why this moment is so important. Tomorrow's rare moon alignment is not just a spectacle, it is a signal. But if you walk away saying that was interesting, you will miss its power. The signal is meant to stir you, to push you into action. This is the time to pray with urgency, to forgive what you've been holding on to step away from the distractions that have numbed your spirit, to release the fear that has paralyzed you. This is the time to take bold steps toward the purpose God has been whispering to you about. Because alignment without action is wasted. A door can be wide open, but if you never walk through it, it is no different from a wall. A blessing can be released, but if you never reach for it, it remains untouched. A sign can appear in the sky, but if you never let it awaken your soul, it becomes nothing more than a memory. So the question before you is simple. How will you respond? Will you watch and walk away, or will you watch and be changed? Will you treat tomorrow's alignment as a curiosity, or will you embrace it as a calling? This is your moment. This is your chance to step into the life you were meant to live. God has given you the sign. The heavens have declared the message. The only thing left is your response. So don't wait. Don't delay. Don't let this moment pass as just another day. Respond with faith. Respond with courage. Respond with action. Because your response will determine your shift, and your shift will determine your destiny.